Okay. Okay. There are two methods of measuring price elasticity of demand. They are total outlay method and point method included in our syllabus. That's why today, first of all, we are going to discuss about total outlay method. And this method was developed by Professor Dr. Alfred Marshall, and this method is also called total expenditure method. Under this method, we simply look at the change, or simply we observe the change in total expenditure to determine the value of price elasticity of demand. And looking at the value of the change in, or the change in total expenditure, we can say whether the elasticity of demand is, whether the elasticity of demand is greater than 1, equals to 1, or less than 1. So there are three possibilities according to this method. They are EP is greater than 1, equals to 1, and less than 1. So these are the three possibilities. And here total expenditure means price multiplied by quantity purchased, that is quantity demanded. So P into Q gives us the total expenditure under this method. So let me discuss the three possibilities. When there is fall in price, then total expenditure may increase, decrease, or remain constant. That's why the three possibilities are there. They are price elasticity of demand greater than 1, price elasticity of demand equals to 1, and price elasticity of demand less than 1. These are the three possibilities with the change in price of the commodity. So first of all, we are going to discuss the first type, that is elasticity of demand greater than 1. This is the case where total expenditure increases with the fall in price. Now look at this. When price falls, total expenditure increases. And this is the case of EP is greater than 1. That is elasticity of demand greater than unity. So we can explain this as when the total expenditure increases with the fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price, then it is said to be elasticity of demand greater than 1, that is greater than unity, and it is also called elastic demand. And in this case, price and total expenditure move in the opposite direction. In other words, total expenditure increases with the fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price. So this is the first case, and the second case as stated by this method is elasticity of demand is equals to 1, and this is the case where total expenditure remain constant with the fall in price. Now we can see here total expenditure is constant, is a constant, so total expenditure does not show any response to the change in price. Whether price falls or rises, total expenditure remains constant. So this can be explained like this: when the total expenditure remains constant with the fall or rise in price, it is said to be elasticity of demand equal to unity, and it is also called unitary elastic demand. And in this case, the total expenditure remains constant. There is no change in total expenditure with the change in price. So we can say that total expenditure does not show any response to the change in price of the commodity. Now finally the third one is elasticity of demand less than unity. This is the third case. Here you can see total expenditure is decreasing with the fall in price. So both are moving along the same direction. Price and total expenditure both are moving along the same direction. That is, total expenditure decreases with the fall in price and increases with the rise in price. So we can write this as when the total expenditure decreases with the fall in price, total expenditure decreases with the fall in price and increases with the rise in price, then it is said to be elasticity of demand less than unity, and it is also called elasticity of demand in inelastic demand, also called inelastic demand. That is elasticity, the value of coefficient of elasticity is less than 1, so it is also called inelastic demand. And in this case, price and total expenditure both move in the same direction. So price is falling, total expenditure is decreasing. Similarly, if price is rising, then total expenditure also rising, increasing. So these are the three possibilities, and these three possibilities can be explained by the help of the table and diagram. So let's move on to the table first, and then we'll discuss the concept diagrammatically. So this is the table. Look at the table here. Initial price is 6 rupees and quantity demanded is 1 unit. So the total expenditure made by the consumer is 6 rupees, and when price falls to rupees 6, then quantity demanded increases to 2 units. So total expenditure is 10 rupees. So with the fall in price, there has been increase in total expenditure. Price falls from 6 rupees to 5 rupees, and total expenditure increases from 6 rupees to 10 rupees. So here you can clearly see the inverse relationship between price and total expenditure. So this is the case of EP is greater than 1. So this is the first case where price falls and total expenditure increases. So this is the case of EP is greater than 1. And this portion of the table can be explained like this. In the first case, the table shows that the fall in price from rupees 6 to rupees 5 causes the total expenditure to increase from rupees 6 to rupees 10. Here price and total expenditure move in the opposite direction, which shows the elasticity of demand greater than unity. Similarly, the next situation or next possibility or next case is when price falls from 4 rupees to 3 rupees. This is another portion of the table, and this in this table in the second portion or second case, you can see price falls from rupees 4 to 3, and total quantity demanded increases from 3 units to 4 units. And initial total expenditure is 12, and with the fall in price from 4 rupees to 3 rupees, again the total expenditure is the same, that is 12 rupees. So total expenditure in the second case remains constant with the fall in price. So this is the case of EP is equals to 1. So, so here you can see price falls and total expenditure remain constant. This is the case of EP is equals to 1. And the second case of the table, or the second portion of the table, we can explain like this. In the second case, fall in price from rupees 4 to 3 causes no change in total expenditure. Total expenditure remains constant. It remains constant at rupees 12. Here total expenditure does not show any response to the change in price. That's why it is the case of EP is equals to unity. EP is equals to unity. And finally, the last one, the portion in the table, last portion of the table, that is case third. Here you can see when price falls from rupees 2 to 1, price decreases, and the total expenditure is also decreasing from 10 rupees to 6 rupees. So both are moving along the same direction. Price is falling and total expenditure also falling. So this is the case where EP is less than 1. And this portion can be explained like this. In the third case, fall in price from rupees 2 to rupee 1 causes the total expenditure to fall from rupees 10 to 6. Here, both price and total expenditure move in the same direction. That's why it is the case of elasticity of demand less than 1, that is unity. So these are the three possibilities explained in the diagram in the tabular form, and then the next step is explaining this concept diagrammatically. So we are going to make a figure, that is diagram, which explains these three concepts, that is three possibilities. Let's move on to the next slide, which is the derivation of the line. So now let's see this one. Okay, here the common dialogue that we have already discussed is in the figure. Total expenditure and price are measured along the x-axis and y-axis respectively. Total expenditure and price are measured along the x-axis and y-axis respectively. This is the common dialogue. And look at this one, the line AB, which is downward sloping. And downward sloping line shows the negative or inverse relationship between the concerned variables. So our concerned variables are price and total expenditure. So price and total expenditure move in the opposite direction. Now look at this. Look at the vertical axis. Vertical axis measures price. So price is falling, and horizontal axis measures total expenditure, and total expenditure is increasing. Price is falling and total expenditure is increasing. That's why there has been movement from A to B. So because of this opposite relation, that is price falling and total expenditure increasing, the line AB shows EP is greater than 1. So this is the case EP is greater than 1. Okay, and then this can be explained like this. In the figure, AB portion shows which shows the downward sloping line. AB portion is downward sloping, which indicates that there is inverse relationship between price and total expenditure. Because of this inverse relationship, it represents the elasticity of demand greater than 1, that is unity. Now next one is the portion BC. Look at the diagram. BC. BC is parallel to y-axis. The line BC is parallel to y-axis, which indicates that price is falling. Price is falling. In the vertical axis, price is falling. But in the horizontal axis, total expenditure, there is no change, no any movement. So total expenditure remains constant. That's why there has been movement from B to C. The movement from B to C shows that price is falling, but there is no change in total expenditure. That's why this is the case. This is the case of EP is equals to 1. EP is equals to 1, that is EP is price elasticity of demand equal to unity. So let's describe this portion. This portion is, you see here, the BC portion, which is parallel to y-axis. The line BC, which is vertical straight line, that is parallel to y-axis, indicates that there is no change in total expenditure with the change in price. So this vertical line BC shows unitary elastic demand, that is, it represents EP is equals to 1. And the last one is CD portion. CD portion. So this is the portion CD, which is upward sloping. It is upward sloping. So you have to look at the line from the origin. That's why this is upward sloping. The line DC or CD is upward sloping, and here you can see that price is falling and total expenditure is also falling. Price is falling, total expenditure is also falling, that is decreasing. So both are moving along the same direction, both are falling. That's why there has been movement from C to D, and this movement from C to D indicates positive relationship between price and total expenditure. So it is the case of EP is less than 1. So EP is less than 1. Now let's describe this portion. In the figure, CD portion, which is upward sloping, indicates positive relationship between price and total expenditure. Price and total expenditure. And because of this positive slope, that is positive relationship, it indicates the price elasticity of demand less than unity. The case of price elasticity of demand less than unity. So these are the situation, or this is the method, total outlay method, measuring price elasticity of demand. Now there is a limitation of this method, and the limitation is this method does not give the exact numerical value of price elasticity of demand. This method simply tells us whether the value of price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, equals to 1, or less than 1. So it does not tell us the value of EP is equals to whether it is 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. It doesn't tell us. It simply tells us the value is greater than 1. The price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. So this is the limitation. So if we need the exact numerical value, then this method cannot be used. So this method cannot be used if we need the exact numerical value of the elasticity of demand. Okay, this is the method of total outlay method. This is total outlay method. Now if you have any question, then please let me know, or you can ask me. Otherwise I'll discuss the point method. Okay, then now let's move on to the next method, point method. Can you hear my sound?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I'm moving towards the another method, that is point method, and this is a geometrical method of measuring price elasticity of demand. Geometrical method of measuring price elasticity of demand, and this method is used when there is very small change in price and quantity demanded. So let's discuss this one. Look at this. Point method is also called geometrical method of measuring price elasticity of demand. Geometrical method of measuring price elasticity of demand, and this method is useful when there is very small change in price and total price and quantity demanded. Price and quantity demanded. And according to this method, elasticity of demand at different point on the same demand curve is different. When we measure the elasticity of demand at different point on the same demand curve, we can get the different value of price elasticity of demand. That is, the coefficient of elasticity of demand is different. Okay, so and this method tells us that the formula to calculate elasticity of demand is EP is equals to lower segment of the demand curve divided by upper segment of the demand curve. So this is the formula to calculate price elasticity of demand under this method. So let's have a quick review. This method is also called geometrical method, and under this method elasticity of demand is different at different point on the same demand curve, and it is used when there is very small change in price and quantity demanded, and the formula to calculate price elasticity of demand is EP is equals to lower segment of the demand curve divided by upper segment of the demand curve. So these are the things we have to consider. Now let's discuss this by the help of the figure, because this is geometrical method of measuring price elasticity of demand, so there is no need to make a table here. So let's make the diagram. Look at this. In the figure, the common dialog is, in the figure, quantity demanded and price are measured along the x-axis and y-axis respectively. Quantity demanded and price are measured along the x-axis and y-axis respectively. Mn is the demand curve. Here you can see Mn is the demand curve. Mn is the demand curve, and we are going to assign a midpoint, and uh, name it A. So A is the midpoint of the given demand curve Mn. Mn is the demand curve here. So A is the midpoint. Look at this. This one is the midpoint. And let's assume the length of this Mn line is 4. Mn line is 4, and A is the midpoint. Then the length of An is 2 centimeter, and AM is also 2 centimeter, because A is the midpoint. So the formula to calculate price elasticity of demand is EP is equals to lower segment divided by upper segment. Lower segment of the demand curve is AN. AN is the lower segment, and AM is the upper segment. Lower segment is 2 centimeter, let's say, and upper segment is also 2 centimeter. That's why 2 by 2 is equals to 1. So at midpoint, price elasticity of demand is equals to 1. Okay, so at midpoint, price elasticity of demand is equals to 1. Now let's take another point on the same demand curve between A and M. Any point between A and M, any point, let's say point B. So at point B, now look at this one. At point B, lower segment is BN and the upper segment is BM. Length of our demand curve is 4 centimeter here, and if we consider B as 3 centimeter, BN is 3 centimeter, then BN is 3 centimeter and divided by BM is 1 centimeter. So 3 divided by 1 is 3, which is greater than 1. So greater than 1 at point B. So any point between A and M, if we consider, then its value, its price elasticity of demand will be greater than 1. Similarly, if we consider, or if we take the next point between A and N, let's say C, at point C, the lower segment is Cn and the upper segment is Cm. Here lower segment is only 1 centimeter and the upper segment is 3 centimeter. So 1 divided by 3 is 0.3, which is less than 1. So the price elasticity of demand is less than 1. And the fourth one is at point M. So at point M, what is the lower segment at point M? What is the lower segment at point M? Any one of you? What is the lower segment? Yes, please. The lower segment is MN. MN is the lower segment and upper segment is 0. So any number divided by 0 is infinity. That's why at point M, EP is equals to lower segment, that is Mn, divided by 0 is infinity. Similarly, at point, the last one, at point N, EP is equals to 0 because there is no lower segment, that is 0, and upper segment is the entire demand curve, that is Mn. So 0 divided by Mn is equals to 0. So in this way, we can find the value of price elasticity of demand at different point on the same demand curve, and it is different. Now you can see at the x-axis, EP is equals to 0, and gradually it is increasing, and at the y-axis, EP is equals to infinity. So in this way, we can calculate the value of price elasticity of demand on the same demand curve is different. Okay, this is all about the methods of measuring price elasticity of demand. There are two methods. First one is total outlay method and second one is point method. Total outlay method and point method. So these are the two methods. If you have any question, then please ask me. No question. Okay, then let me move to the next slide. And next slide is the last part of this chapter, that is price elasticity of supply. Price elasticity of supply. As per our syllabus, this is the last part of this chapter, chapter first, price elasticity of supply. Okay, let me discuss this one. As we discussed price elasticity of demand, this is the analogous to the price elasticity of demand. That's why we can say that price elasticity of supply measures the change in quantity supplied, not quantity demanded, quantity supplied of a commodity due to the change in price of the same commodity. And it may be defined as the percentage, change in quantity supplied divided by percentage change in price of the commodity. Let me repeat once again. Price elasticity of supply measures the change in quantity supplied due to change in price of the commodity, and it may be defined as the percentage change in quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in price of the commodity. That's why our formula becomes like this. ES, here ES stands for elasticity of supply. So ES is equals to percentage change in quantity supplied divided by percentage change in price. And the next step of this formula derivation is change in quantity supplied upon quantity supplied, initial quantity supplied whole upon change in price divided by initial price. And the next step is delta q by q upon delta p by p. And finally this one, the last one, here written in the slide, delta q by delta p into p by q. This is the last step of this formula derivation. And in between these two steps you have to add two other steps, as I told you just. So the next step is, what is the next step? Next step is delta q, sorry, change in quantity supplied divided by initial quantity supplied whole upon change in price upon initial price. And the next one is delta q by q upon delta p by p as of the elasticity of demand. And the final step is delta q by delta p into p by q. Here you cannot use negative sign because there is positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. So price elasticity of supply is always positive. And as of demand, there are 5 types of price elasticity of supply. As of demand, there are 5 types of price elasticity of supply. They are perfectly elastic supply, perfectly inelastic supply, relatively elastic supply, relatively inelastic supply, and unitary elastic supply. So these are the 5 types of elasticity of supply. And we discuss the types of before discussing the types of elasticity of supply, let's discuss about this one numerical example. And look at this example. Suppose initial price is rupees 50 and initial quantity supplied is 400 units. When price rises to rupees 60, then the new quantity supplied is 600 units. 600 units because of the positive relationship between price and quantity supplied as stated by the law of supply. As you have already studied in grade 11, the law of supply, which tells us that higher the price, higher will be the quantity supplied. So price has been increased from 50 rupees to 60 rupees and quantity supplied from 400 units to 600 units. Now using the formula ES is equals to delta Q by delta P into P by Q. So using that formula, we can get the value of EP. So here ES is equals to delta Q by delta P into P by Q, and delta Q we have calculated here is 10 and delta 200 and delta P 10, and initial price is 50 rupees and initial quantity is 400 units. That's why plug in the value. Now plug in these values and we get 2.5 as answer. So 2.5 is the coefficient of price elasticity of supply, price elasticity of supply, and its interpretation is 1% change in price will lead to 1% change in price will lead to 2.5% change in quantity supplied. So this is the interpretation of this value 2.5. Okay, then as I already told you, our next concern is elasticity of types of elasticity of supply, and there are 5 types of elasticity of supply. They are, first of all, the first one is perfectly elastic supply. Perfectly elastic supply where the value of ES is equals to infinity, and this is the case where the very small change in price will lead to infinitely large change in quantity supplied. So for perfectly elastic supply is the case where very small, that is negligible change in price will lead to infinitely large change in quantity supplied, and this can be shown by the help of the line. Look at the diagram. In the diagram, quantity supplied and price are measured along the x-axis and y-axis respectively. Yes, S1 is the supply curve. This is the supply curve which is parallel to x-axis. Supply curve parallel to x-axis, and this supply curve shows ES is equals to infinity. ES is equals to infinity. Okay. Now the next one is relatively elastic supply, where the value of ES is greater than 1. Value of ES is greater than 1, and this is the case where percentage change in quantity supplied is greater than the percentage change in price. Percentage change in quantity supplied is greater than the percentage change in price. And in this type of elasticity of supply can be shown by the help of a line, flatter type of relatively flatter type of a line, upward sloping line. So S2 is the supply curve which is relatively flatter, indicating ES is greater than 1. This shows the case of ES is greater than 1, where percentage change in quantity supplied is greater than the percentage change in price. Now the next one is unitary elastic supply, where ES, the value of ES is equals to 1, and this is the case where a percentage change in quantity supplied is equals to percentage change in price. And this type of elasticity can be shown by the help of a line making 45 degree in the horizontal axis. So making 45-degree line. So S3 is the line which shows ES is equals to 1. ES is equals to 1. Fourth one is relatively inelastic supply. Relatively inelastic supply, where the value of ES is less than 1. Value of ES is less than 1. And in this case, the percentage change in quantity supplied is less than the percentage change in price. And the line is relatively steeper one. So this is the line showing ES is less than 1. ES is less than 1. S4 line. ES is less than 1 means relatively inelastic supply. Finally, the last one, and the last one is perfectly inelastic supply, where the value of ES is equals to 0. It means there is no change in quantity supplied with the change in price of the commodity. No change in quantity supplied with the change in price of the commodity. And this type of elasticity is shown by the help of the vertical line, that is the line parallel to y-axis. Line parallel to y-axis. This line shows no change in quantity supplied with the change in price of the commodity. No change in quantity supplied with the change in price of the commodity. Okay. So these are the 5 different lines showing different elasticity of supply. But you have to remember that the supply curves are positively sloped, that is upward sloping, but demand curve is downward sloping. So these are the 5 different types of price elasticity of supply, and this is the combined figure for the 5 types, combined types. Okay, and then finally, this is your assignment. These are the questions. There are altogether 7 questions. 2 have already been given to you yesterday. So altogether 7 questions. This is your assignment for this week. You have to answer all these questions, and each question more or less contains 3 pages answer in your register. 3 pages answer. You have to make diagram as well, and explanation of the diagram and types of the different elasticity of demand. So these are the 7 questions. Okay, this is all about the first chapter. This is the end of the first chapter.